What's up, guys? In this video, I'm going to talk about what I think is a really underrated piece of data that can be super helpful in fixing bad ad campaigns and just helping you to drive more streams if you're running ads for your music. I'm going to show you a bunch of campaign data from my clients and my own music, and I'll throw it into a spreadsheet and look at the numbers, and hopefully it's helpful as you are working on your own promotion. And before you ask, yes, I did get a haircut. Thank you. All right, so without further ado, let's flip around to the old computer screen and get into it. All right, so here we are at the computer screen, and I'm in my submithub.com links account. This is just a free account. If you have SubmitHub, you have access to this. Totally sweet feature, and it's what I've been using to make my landing page links. Well, I guess since like May, it's been my default. Now, I've also done some campaigns that aren't in here. Some clients prefer different platforms, and then I also was doing Hyped It previously, so some clients I just kept inside of Hyped It. But this has been my default for new campaigns where the client doesn't have a preference. I've been doing SubmitHub links, and it's been great. Couple things, the links load super fast. I talked to Jason from SubmitHub about this, and he designed it in a way where it's like super clean. So a lot of these landing page softwares load a ton of things. SubmitHub links is like as clean as it gets. So if you click a link, you'll see for yourself, like it just loads super fast, which is good for the user experience. And I found the data to be pretty good too. So overall, I like it, and it's free. So why would I not use it? So I'm using it. So I'm just going to walk through some of the data that I'm seeing on the screen and show you what it means. And I think it's really helpful and interesting if you're running ad campaigns for yourself. So obviously we have the song, or this is just the landing page title, the date that it was created. So impressions is when the page loads. So anytime someone clicks on your ad and gets to your landing page, that should count as an impression. Clicks is when somebody actually clicks on the landing page. And then click-through rate is just clicks divided by impressions. So the rate at which people actually click through when they land on the landing page. Now, I was having a conversation with another agency owner not that long ago, and he was telling me that he pays a lot of attention to click-through rate. And I was kind of like, oh, that's interesting, because honestly, I haven't really paid that much attention to click-through rate. I would just look at what is the cost per click inside of Ads Manager, and then I would see in Spotify for Artists, how is that translating to streams, and I wasn't really looking at the landing page stuff. I wasn't using these statistics, because I figured, well, it doesn't matter that much. If the cost per click is cheap and if it's driving streams, like that's what I care about. And I still think that that's generally true, but I do think that the click-through rate is an interesting sign of whether or not your ad is working. It's like one factor to consider. Because if you think about it, if your landing page is being loaded, if people are clicking on your ad and then they're not clicking through, two things. First of all, there's some misalignment of expectations. And then second of all, you're being charged for your ads on the basis of impressions. So if you have a low click-through rate, your cost per result is going to be more expensive because you're getting a ton of people to view the page but not people to click, and so it's going to be more expensive per click. So it actually is an important statistic to think about. And so with that preface, you can see all the data here, but I'm just going to bring it up in a Google Sheet because it just lets me run some calculations. So here's what it looks like in a Google Sheet. And I filtered out a couple of campaigns that just never got running, that just had like a couple clicks and I just never turned on ads for. And I also have highlighted, I'm running a few ads to playlists in here, and then the others you can see are ads to songs. And so the data is pretty interesting. Overall, the average click-through rate is like 48%. For songs, it's 43%. And for playlists, it's 73%. If you take out this song, which was by far the worst campaign I've ever run, we're right around 50% for our average click-through rate on all our landing pages. And as I was going through and looking at these different songs, I did notice that almost any song that was below a 50% click-through rate would be a campaign that I considered to be a struggle and not performing well. And almost any song that was above a 50% click-through rate was a campaign that I considered to perform pretty well, and that had a pretty good cost per result and pretty good result in terms of streams. Another note here that's super obvious: playlists are way easier to run ads to than direct to song. I think the reason for that is that it's a built-in audience, so it's easier to sell somebody to say, hey, are you a fan of indie pop music? Here's a playlist you might like. And they're like, oh yes, I am a fan of indie pop music. That's an easier sell than it is to be like, do you want to hear this artist you've never heard of before and this song? They're like, I don't know. know who that artist is. It's a harder sell. So I think it's just easier to sell people on playlists, and they have a higher click-through rate because of that, because it's just an easier sell. That's my hypothesis. And typically you'll also see a much lower cost per result on playlists. Like I'm getting clicks through to playlists below 10 cents pretty easily, and songs, if you get below 10 cents a result, that would be a great result. So yeah, that's kind of borne out here in just the click-through rate data. All right, so that's the data. So what does it all mean practically? So first of all, I think you should be shooting for above a 50% click-through rate on your landing page, just because, like I said, any campaign I've seen that's above that tends to do pretty well. Any campaign that's below that has been a little bit of a struggle. That kind of begs the question, okay, so if you're under 50%, like what do I do? And that's a good question, and that's a lot of what I work on when I'm running these campaigns. But I would say the two things I would look at are first targeting, and then B, like the actual content of your ads in that order. So often if you are below 50%, it might be just a targeting issue where there's some country, like a tier 2 country. I've seen this happen with Mexico lately for whatever reason, where you're getting like 95% of your clicks are coming from Mexico, but it's not translated to any streams from Mexico and Spotify for artists. And so if that's happening, the first thing I would do would be to cut out those countries that aren't driving streams and see if that fixes the issue. Similarly, if you're only getting clicks from 65 plus age group, cut out that age group. If you are only getting clicks in the audience network, cut out that audience network. Basically, if you're looking at your ads data and you're seeing just this overwhelming disparity and this place where you're getting a ton of clicks, just cut that out and then see if that changes your click-through rate and the results that you see on Spotify. And if you don't see any super weird data, then the next thing I would do would be to just try some new ads and go after a better hook for the song. And I would specifically be thinking about, is there anything that my old ads were doing to create like a misaligned expectation? Like, was I advertising the song in one way, and then when they got to the landing page, they're like, actually, that's not quite what I thought it was going to be. So maybe your cover art gives a different expectation than what the ad gave, or the ad didn't even make it clear that it was a song. It like was a skit or something. So basically just looking at ways you can streamline the experience through the ad to the landing page so that the users know what they expect when they get to the landing page, and makes them more likely to click through to Spotify. So those are the things that I would look at. This is like, it's an art as much as it is a science. So we look at the data, but the thing that makes a good ad campaign is just a good ad. And I've seen that on some of these campaigns, but some of the best campaigns I've run have been where it wasn't working super well, and then I introduced a new ad, and it just worked much better because the ad was better aligned with the artist's song, it was hookier or whatever, and that just drove better click-through rates and ultimately better cost per result and more streams. So yeah, that's the data here on this, and I just thought it was pretty interesting. So hopefully that was helpful if you're running ads for your own music. Ads are not the only way to grow on Spotify. Obviously, I have a mini course where I walk through 3 other tactics that are also super effective for growing on Spotify. That's free to sign up for somewhere at the link below. And I also have a membership community where I help people to do this sort of stuff for themselves. So if any of those sound interesting to you, look at the links below. And if they don't sound interesting to you, that's totally fair. I still appreciate you watching. Hope this is helpful. And as always, wishing you good luck as you market your own music. You got this.